Welcome to Hey Listen, where we discuss faith, leadership, and the mission of the church. We're so glad you've joined us. Now to today's episode.
Well, welcome to the Hey Listen podcast, and usually we have Miss Kayla leading this, but today I'm the one that's leading it, and I have with me Tristen Thomas. We're so glad that you're with us today.
Yeah, I'm very glad to be here.
Yeah. So back when I came to Ridgecrest, you don't know this, but 7 years ago, when the committee first talked to me and they said, okay, Jeremy, Ridgecrest, we've got a lot of things happening here. What are the things you're going to focus on? And I said, I really felt like the Lord said to me that I needed to really focus on preaching, praying, and preparing leaders. And those first two things, I had to jump in. I've been preaching a lot. I've been praying a lot. But I really don't feel like until recently that third element of preparing leaders has started to fall in place. And I want to just say right out of the gate here as we start this time together, you have been one of those individuals that have been such a blessing to Ridgecrest and for us to have this opportunity to prepare future leaders. So what I'd like for us to do here is, I know a lot of our next gen folks, they know you. Someone said in a meeting yesterday, like, Tristen is everywhere. Like everywhere you go, we run into you because you walk like me. You walk fast. You're everywhere. So a lot of people do already know you, but a lot of our folks don't. And I want this time together today. I want us to really talk about you and what the Lord's doing in your heart. Yeah. But the bigger picture for our Ridgecrest family is just to know that it is important to us when we have people in this congregation that are feeling a call to ministry or missions or something. We want to be ready to help them and prepare them. And you're a part of that equation, but we hope in the future it'll continue. So this is something that God is doing in your life and in our lives. But tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to know the Lord and your call to ministry. Let's just talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah, so I'll give a little shortened version of my testimony, but I kind of grew up going to church a couple weeks out of the year maybe, and I got really plugged into middle school with my friends. I would go on Wednesday nights after school. We would hang out at my friend's house, and then we would go to service at the church. And so we would do that and then go back and hang out. And so that's really where I found community at the start, is going to Wednesday night services. No Sundays, but yeah, Wednesday night services. Okay. And so I would do that every week, and I was pretty consistent. And during that time, I believe in 6th grade or something, I got baptized for the first time. And I realize now that kind of was something that I saw everyone else doing. And so I was like, I want to get in on that.
The hint that something wasn't right is when you said the first time.
Yes, the first time.
I don't know if you caught that, but those watching at home, when you say, I got baptized the first time, okay, everybody should have had a little red flag going up. There's something to this story. So so you had a kind of like an experience, but it was more connected to the community you were in, which, that's, Kayla and I have talked a lot about that, the peer pressure that we see in children's ministry and kids ministry. So that's something that those who've been watching us would be familiar with. Like what you've experienced is not unusual, but something got your attention that wasn't right.
Yeah. And so I know now that I did not know Jesus or God at that time. And like I said, I did it because other people did. I wanted to be a part of that group. And so after that, I was still pretty connected all the way up until 8th grade. And then that was when COVID hit. Oh. And so it was my 8th grade year that COVID hit. And
8th grade?
8th grade for me. 8th grade.
Sometimes I forget how young you are, Tristen. Okay, continue. I'll get over this. All right.
Okay, but yeah, 8th grade, COVID hit, and I kind of fell out. And during that time, I really put my identity in sports. I was starting to get really into sports, playing sports. I was a 3-sport athlete in high school. Going to a small town, that's kind of what you did.
Yeah, it's true.
If you were athletic, you played multiple sports.
Every sport.
And so basketball was my main one. Then
tell us where that was. Where were you?
Sparta, Missouri.
Oh, yeah. Lovely little town.
You'd probably call it Possum Holler.
Oh, no, I wouldn't
not
call
quite, Not quite all the way out there.
So for those who are watching, I joke around when I talk about, I've pastored some country churches. I've been in those places, and I joke around about it being Possum Holler. Those who are residents in Sparta, it is is a beautiful metropolis.
It is.
And your downtown is amazing. There's a great little antique store there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I love that place.
Some old buildings that have been there
Oh,
forever.
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah. But
beautiful.
Sparta's a great town. We love you there. So, no, that's not Possum Holler. Continue.
Yeah. So I was doing those sports, really found my identity in that, and was far off from the Lord. My parents never really gave me any initiative to do that, had any initiative for themselves to do that. And so I did that all the way until my senior year. And during my senior year, I really, I started to feel something like I felt like I wanted to get more connected, but really it was something that really happened in my life. And so I didn't have to go to school until like 11 o'clock because I was dual credit online classes through community college. And so that was perfect. Senior guy, didn't have to go to school, could sleep in and play basketball. And I loved that. And so really it was at the start of my senior year, September. I was just having a conversation with my mom in the living room, and my dad was taking a shower, and then we were just talking about our week, getting it started, and then we really just heard like this distinct boom sound. And so we kind of looked at each other like, what happened? Like, what happened? And so my dad kind of like fell out of the bathroom. We realized now that he had a stroke. He suffered a stroke, but I had to call 911. And so I did that. My mom's a nurse, so she was trying to diagnose what's happening. She said, tell him it's either a heart attack or a stroke. And so they come and they get him, and they take him to the hospital. And my mom asked me if I want to go to school that day, and I was like, no, I want to go to the hospital, see how my dad is. And on the way to the hospital with my mom and my older brother, that was when I prayed for the first time in about 5 or 4 years. And it was, God, if you're real, like, don't let my dad go. And it was just that over and over. I couldn't find any other words to say. And so eventually we find out he was okay. He will be okay. He lost all feeling in his left side. And so it was a large hemorrhage stroke. He had a brain bleed. And so he wasn't supposed to be in as good of a condition as he was. Didn't slur his words. His mind was still okay. And his mind was actually fine. It was really what happened was he lost all that feeling. And so from that moment on, I knew God was real. But still, I still had 3 sports to play. And so I didn't really ever get fully connected. And it was until my senior year summer, working at a golf course on maintenance, mowing grass every day. And my grandparents, they're faithful in the Lord. They're faithful servants. And they invited me to come to Ridgecrest with them. And I find out now that my dad could see that, he sensed and could see that I was having an interest, a peak of interest for the Lord. Started opening up the Bible again during that time that I had. And so I go to Ridgecrest, and I'm in their small group, and taught by Carl Reese at 8 a.m. And so
you're right. The average age in there is a little older than you.
A little bit.
Just
this
a
might
little.
be an understatement, but
like 50 years.
Yeah. So I was in there, and I would go every Sunday with them, 8 a.m., the Carl Reese small group, and then
great group
first service. And really, it was just kind of something that came on to me. And about a month and a half into that, I was going every Sunday, and I was like, I knew that it was almost time for me to go into college. And so I knew the point when I should go down to college was when they asked me, hey, do you want to become a member of our class? And I was like, okay, I think it's my time to go down to college because I need to be around people my age.
Right.
Like these people are great. Old ladies give me compliments. I love it. And they make me feel great. But it was just so happened that they had a welcome event that Sunday that I needed to finally go down, and it was a chicken and waffles welcome event, and it was amazing. I got to go in there, and
that's the most Baptist thing you've ever said.
Right.
There. Chicken and waffles. All right.
I got connected immediately and really just started my devoted, I would say, like fire for the Lord from that moment on.
That's cool. All right. And since then you've been baptized like for real, right? Instead of that, one that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually know God, and I felt God pulling and finally call me during that time. And this all happened within 3 month span from when I was in college group. And so
I forget who I was talking to this morning. It might have been Pastor Nathan. And, we were just talking about how fast God's moved in your life. And for some people, their story is one of a gradual realization and revelation. And for others, things happen very fast. And I think one of the reasons why I connect with you is because for me, even though I was raised in church and my story is different in that regard, when God started moving in my life for ministry, it was lightning quick. And there are some things in life you can kind of look at and rationalize, but the call to ministry isn't rational. It's spiritual. And now that it's not irrational, but it's spiritual first, and you trying to figure it out doesn't really matter. So tell us what you do around here. What right now, what your role is.
So right now I'm the NextGen Intern. I get to work directly under Robert, who was on this podcast a couple weeks ago.
Dr. Varner.
Dr. Varner is what a lot a little people call him. I call him Robert.
And that's all right. I do too.
Yeah, I get to work directly under him. And one of the things is I got to intern over the summer for NextGen. And we didn't have a NextGen pastor then, but I got to do hands-on ministry, like camps every week, VBS, mission trip, all that sorts of things. And so really what I was lacking is the administrative side, the behind the scenes side. Because I know ministry is not just camps and events every week. It's the budgeting things, the planning, how to manage a team well. And so that's kind of what I was hoping to get out of an internship. And so I was eventually able to intern under Robert when he came here. And we've been really just focusing on administrative stuff while also getting to serve in those various NextGen roles and areas.
Robert is, as you've said, relatively recent on staff. He had been a member here and had served in churches before he came here. But so I knew Robert a little bit, but as far as being mentored by someone who really has their act together administratively, Robert is that guy. And so, it's fun to see, like when we talk about mentoring young men and young women in ministry, especially a church like Ridgecrest, there's this opportunity here where there's these different people with different gift sets. And, you've very wisely said, okay, I see a deficit on the administrative side. And so you've been able to kind of veer towards someone who, in my view, is really got their act together here. He's worked with Convoy of Hope, which is just one of the best nonprofit organizations, maybe in America. I mean, they're incredible. So he was able to do ministry in the church, but he's also seen that other side of things, and so he's learned those lessons, and he's teaching me a lot of great skills in that area too. So you getting that is wonderful. So that's what you do now. But tell me a little bit about where we're going. What do you feel like God's called you to do in ministry specifically?
Yeah. So there's different people, maybe it'll hit them like a lightning strike. Like you kind of explain your calling as that.
Senior pastor, never anything else. But you're not feeling that clearly yet.
No, I don't feel a clear call to a certain kind of ministry. And I've definitely seen God reveal different gifts to me over time as I've started to discern my calling. And so I initially thought youth ministry, my energy, how crazy I can seem sometimes, energetic level, good relation with the kids. Yeah. But as I've gotten to preach and serve in these different ministries and ages, I've just loved every single one of them. And I know that God, He has a plan for me. I know that I am called to pastor and shepherd people. And so I want to be able to live that out faithfully wherever that may be, wherever God has called me to do that work.
Yeah, you were teaching in Carl's class, right? And do you have another opportunity coming up?
Yeah, so I'll be in the Brotherton's small group this Sunday.
So again, a lot of people, even at Ridgecrest, probably don't realize both of those classes are the size of small churches. They're big. They're 30 to 60 people on any given Sunday. And so, you may think, okay, this young man's talking about teaching a Sunday school lesson, and you've got in your mind, a small table with 5 people around it. This is actually like a big room with a lot of chairs, a lot of people, a lot of wisdom. Like, this young man, Tristen, teaching in these settings, and Carl and Dennis are both retired missionaries and have seminary degrees. Dennis has a PhD. these guys have been there and done that. So this young man is teaching in a Sunday school class where the teachers are professor level, deep experience, and you don't miss it, man. You get in there and you mix it up. And then on top of that, we've had some churches contact us about some pulpit supply, and you've gone and done that.
Yeah.
And that's what you're talking about, kind of. But what's so funny is you're telling me that you the youth ministry and the energy and the fun and frivolity, whatever, which I see that in you. But then I'm thinking, you really are cutting your teeth in the opposite environment.
Oh, yeah.
And look at what God's doing. He's giving you this breadth of experience. And again, that's what's great about Ridgecrest is that we have some really vibrant ministry on both ends of the spectrum here of like deep, mature Sunday school teaching opportunity. And then, D-Now's happening this weekend. And that's going to be, I was told that there will be people running around town with couches.
Yep.
Is this true?
Couchorama is the name of the game. And so we're going to have all of our small groups.
And one of the things they have to do is get a picture of me on one of their couches.
Yes, one of the challenges is find Pastor Jeremy, get a video of him on your couch.
I thought it would be so funny if someone catches me in the middle of one of my long runs. And I'm like, I'm like out in the middle of nowhere where running and someone finds me and I'm sitting on a couch.
Here, take a break, Jeremy.
Yeah. That works great when you're running.
Oh, yeah, no.
No, that's funny. So, yeah, I was made aware of that just this morning, obviously. So fun. But no, I'm impressed with that. And I want to just say also, and we're having this conversation. I want people to get to know you a little bit. But one of the things, as a pastor, as a preacher, I've been preaching since I was your age. I was 19. How old are you right now? You're
20.
You're 20. You're so mature. But 20 years old, I was already a pastor, so that was kind of an unusual part of my story. But, I've been preaching a long time. But one of the things I've noticed is that, like, young guys, preaching is such an intimidating thing. It's a hard thing, right? Yeah. Like, you've learned that, how hard it is. But this guy is, you're already, in my view, you're kind of in like a 90th percentile, if you follow my logic here. You have some natural gifts here that you're going to do better. You're going to learn this art of preaching and science of preaching better, but you're gifted in this way. That's not a normal thing. Like, the hand of the Lord is really on you, and I want you to hear me say that. And I want people to hear that like here at Ridgecrest, God has brought us some young men like this who are just next level leaders and have the capacity not just to be a blessing to Ridgecrest. And I hope, I'd love to see you continue to bless Ridgecrest for many years, but I think you've got a kingdom angle and just keep growing. So that's where I want to kind of take the rest of our conversation. Yeah. We could sit here and talk about the fun things we're going to do in D-Now this weekend. That'd be great. But with our last 10 minutes here, what I'd like to do is I'd like for you to just kind of talk about, okay, if there's other people watching this podcast who feel like that maybe vocational ministry, serving in the church on a more official capacity, whether it's a church like Ridgecrest or in a small church like you've preached in some of these,
smaller churches.
Don't say Possum Holler, because I don't want to be offensive.
Yeah, that is true.
I don't want to be offensive because they're great churches. I cut my teeth in small churches. Some of my best experiences in ministry are in small churches. But people, as I look out at the congregation every Sunday, and I know the Lord's at work in different people's lives. So for you, what do you feel like are the next steps for you to grow, so that people that are thinking about a call to ministry, they can kind of hear how you're processing and thinking about your next steps?
Yeah, I would just say, when God calls you, you don't say no. I knew that. I knew that it was early on in my devoted, really walk with the Lord. But I knew from my short time to say is that, and in the scriptures and learning, is that when God calls you to do something, you don't say no. You don't.
Here I am, Lord, send me.
Yes,
I think that's the model.
You don't make excuses. Psalm 19:7 says that God makes wise the simple. So don't make excuses saying, I'm not wise enough to do this. I don't know enough to do this. God will make you wise. He will give you wisdom. He will give you words to speak. And so I would just encourage you in that.
That's good. That's good. And, I hear a lot of people, when they start feeling the call to ministry, the enemy gives them all these reasons why they shouldn't do it. And what I want to tell people is that those things may be true. Like some of those weaknesses, the devil's going to highlight your weaknesses.
Oh, yeah.
But every great leader in the scriptures that we see, with the exception of maybe Joseph, other than pride, it's hard to find a weakness in that guy's portfolio. But everybody else, Moses stuttered, you know the story.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
you've got Paul's arrogance. You have Peter's brashness. We could go on and on.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's got something because we're all fallen human beings. But what we need to do is not listen to the enemy and be discouraged. You know, we got to press in, and if we feel that we are called to ministry, we have to go and get some wisdom. And I think it starts again with like your pastor, and for you, Austin, and some of the people in the NextGen ministry were your first contact there, where they begin to help you develop, right? But as you think about that, as you go from that's where it has to start. That's very organic, right? A good, healthy church is going to start calling out the called, and giving them a little bit next level discipleship. But what does it look like for you in terms of pursuing this as a career?
Yeah. So I would, say take every opportunity you can to serve, teach, preach, disciple, lead, get discipled. Take those opportunities, because your future self will thank you. I'm already thanking myself
your
for
future self.
I'm already thanking myself.
It's like Back to the Future here.
Yeah.
All right. Time
I'm already
travel.
thanking myself for saying yes. Yes to serving. Yes to teaching. Yes to discipling. Yes to these groups, even if that means more of a load. It's crucial. I would also, say, just be yourself. And I just can't stress enough with serving and kind of just following that track. Also finding godly mentors. There's great godly men in every church you will find.
That's right. Yeah.
I've found great wisdom from people who are just starting ministry to people who have upwards of 60 years in ministry.
Yep.
And everything that they say is valuable. Everything that they teach you is valuable.
I think, again, a young man, 19, 20 years old, relatively new in the faith, very new in ministry. This is why, Paul says to Timothy, don't let them despise your youth, because it's so easy to be intimidated by your chronological age.
Yeah.
Or even how long you've been, in the faith. But, God works in moves in mysterious ways.
Yeah.
And I've always appreciated that about you. You're pretty, aggressive in seeking those opportunities, where I think a lot of guys your age would be a little bit more on the passive side and waiting for things to happen. And here you're like, I call you up and say, hey, there's this church that's looking for somebody to preach, and like you're willing to do that. And I would say, like, how are you going to grow in these kinds of things if you're not willing to do them?
Yeah.
So good for you. Now tell me about school. What education looks like for you moving forward?
Yeah. So right now I'm online at a Midwestern seminary. There's some guys from Ridgecrest that have gone up there, but I really feel like God has called me to stay in Springfield and work here, because there's still a lot of work that needs to be done in Springfield, and there's a lot of people that need to be reached. And so I've kind of taken that on by doing online seminary, and doing a full-time workload with that, through this accelerated program.
Yep.
And so
so when I felt the call to ministry, back then we were still writing papers on tablets with chisels. And that wasn't quite that bad, but it was almost as bad. I was thinking the other day about my first laptop. It was this thick. Greg, you would have loved that thing. Is this thick and weighed 152 pounds. So I was high tech because I had a laptop. Nobody, I don't know, too many people had a laptop back then. But the reality is that when I felt called to ministry, it required a move. My wife and I, we were married. We went on our honeymoon, and then a week after that, we moved from Southern Illinois to Fort Worth, Texas.
Yeah.
Man,
wow.
What a culture shock. And just a change. We went from living our whole lives in a rural context like this, like you grew up in Sparta, not very similar to that, to a city, a metroplex of 3 million people.
Wow.
So pretty wild. Now today, that's still an option. So like you said, we at Ridgecrest last year, we had 3 young men who moved to Kansas City, right? We had 3. And that was fantastic. And Kansas City's close enough that, it's not like 12 hours away like what we had to deal with. But that's a big move. They have to figure out how to live and make a living in Kansas City. Cost of living's higher there. School's not cheap. I was just talking to one of the dads of those three guys. I was kind of shocked at still how expensive it is, even being a Southern Baptist. There's money involved. But the online option. So the way I see it is, if a person feels called to ministry, they can either just kind of pick up everything if they're in a place. And all three of those guys, were single, right? They both could kind of do that. Or the other thing is if you've got some good ministry possibilities where you're at, to kind of dig into that. So that's what you're doing. Yeah. And you and I are walking through a book by a guy from 9 Marks Ministry at Capitol Hill Baptist Church. Jameson is his last name. And Jameson, kind of talks about seminary. And he says this: seminary can't make you a pastor, but it can help you be a better one. So just, we got a couple minutes here. Tell me what you think about that.
Yeah. I mean, I would encourage everyone to go to seminary if you are feeling that call. Like, you don't need it, but it will help you make you a better pastor. Yeah. And so I think seminary is important, for your future education. Like I said, it won't teach you the hands-on things. It won't teach you how to run an event, make a budget for the most part, but it will give you wisdom. It will help you with hermeneutics as you're trying to.
Hermeneutics. Now you're throwing around big $5. Look at you. You've been to school and you're an educated man. Yeah. So hermeneutics is just the interpretation of the scriptures. Is all we're talking about there. And it is interesting as we grow in our faith. We do need some help. And I want to say this: like, I grew up in a very small church that mission trips didn't happen. The ministry was very limited. I was not going to be able to really grow as a leader in that smaller context. I think a lot of people that are in that boat may have to consider something like moving to a seminary. But I think Tristen gives us a really good example of, if you happen to be in a place like Ridgecrest, and again, Ridgecrest has been a great church long before any of us in this room were a part of Ridgecrest. So we're not bragging on ourselves. Ridgecrest has been a great church for 40 years now. But when there are these opportunities here, and you can get the education, the hermeneutics, the homiletics, the preaching, all those things, and do it in an environment where you can have ministry in a practical experience, that's a good thing.
Oh yeah.
So I'm happy that you've been able to be here, and we can work on that. So as we're wrapping things up here, just real quick, give us a word of encouragement to those who might be thinking about ministry. You've already said, get involved, right? We've talked about maybe, looking into the school options. Anything else that you would give advice to someone like Tristen who's trying to wrestle through what it means to be called? Yeah,
I would just say, I think I might have said this a little bit earlier, but seek godly mentors. There are people that want to pour into other people who are sensing that call to ministry. And so if you look for the opportunities, you will find them. And you will find people that care and want to help you.
Yes. So I want to end with this. When I was about your age, one of my professors, Dr. Cecil, who's gone on to be with the Lord, he said, Jeremy, I want you right now I was like 19 or 20, 21, somewhere in there. And he said, dream the biggest dream you can about what God's going to do in ministry by the time you retire. And he said, whatever that dream is, I promise you, what God has in store for you is better. So I want to tell you that, Tristen, whatever your dream is about what God's going to do in your ministry, if you keep following him, whatever your dream is, God's dream is better.
Thank you.
Isn't that a good word?
That's so good.
Dr. Cecil, I really appreciated that, and I know it's true for you too. God bless you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you again for joining us today. We'll see you next time on Hey Listen.